उत्तमम् देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So yesterday we discussed the offense of equating the holy name with a material pious activity. Yesterday we discussed about the spiritual identity of the name. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tataiva bhajamyaham. Depending on how you approach Krishna or his holy, if you approach the spiritual identity, one will get spiritual benefit. If a person approaches the holy name thinking that the holy name is a material sound vibration, then one will only get material relief. We discussed that how uh, sometimes people make we discussed about the concept of the person whom we worship. Sometimes people consider all the devatas and the Krishna to be on the same level. Or sometimes one may consider all the different paths to be on the same level. Yatomat tatopat, all paths lead to the same goal. That way, a person may consider the chanting of the holy name to be on the same level as any material pious activity. And we discussed that how the various comparison between the process of bhakti versus the other paths, from the point of view of the purification, from the point of view of the cause of bhakti, jnana and karma, and fall down of a bhakta versus the fall down of a jnani. And we discussed about the dependence on time, place, and circumstance. That way, we compared the bhakti versus the other paths. We also discussed that how the Vedic literatures, they cater to the people at a diverse levels. Various paths are described, and within a particular path, depending on the level of the person, various options are given. Like Krishna gives different levels in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And then we discussed how holy name is the means as well as the end. And then we discussed about the effect of chanting the name. One experiences unprecedented bliss, in comparison to which even the Brahmananda is something scanty, insignificant. And then finally, we discussed about the cause of actually this offense of considering the holy name to be, or considering a material pious activity to be on the same level as the holy name. What is the cause of this offense? That is, this offense is caused by Vaishnava Aparadh. And the remedy for this offense one of the remedy which we discussed was that one should actually smear one's body with the dust of a devotee who is born in a low family, but who is completely surrendered to the holy name. We saw the example of Kalidas, how he actually respected the different Vaishnavas. So anyway, today I'll continue. We'll go to the 12th chapter, the 9th offense, that is inattentive chanting. So this inattentive chanting is called as pramada. So this is a important topic which is relevant to all of us. So as I mentioned that I am just going through the book, just trying to make some points, and so that it will help me also. It is not that I have overcome all these offenses or all these problems. So I hope by the end of that, if at least I'll be benefited, I'll be happy, of course, by serving all of you. So Haridas Thakur says that if inattention is present in one's chanting, one cannot attain nishtha or steadiness. And if a person cannot come to steadiness, then he definitely cannot come to prema. Therefore, inattention is considered to be one of the main obstacles for nishtha. Even if a person successfully overcomes all the other offenses, that is sadhu ninda, guru ravagya, shruti shastra ninda, all those other offenses, and even if a person chants continuously, but still the prema may not appear if a person is chanting inattentively. So you can just imagine the gravity of this offense. That means even if a person overcomes the other offenses, even if a person chants continuously, but still one will not develop love for Krishna if one chants inattentively. Just 1 minute.
Hare Krishna, we are not able to hear.
Can you hear, Haribo?
Yes, now we are able to hear.
Yeah. See, just try to understand this point. Even if a person overcomes all the other offenses, and even if one chants continuously, but prema may not appear if one chants inattentively. And then Haridas Thakur says that inattention is the root of all the anarthas. All the anarthas, it is from this offense that all the anarthas arise. So in one class, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, I remember he was mentioning this point. He said that like Maya may not enter the life of a person through, like Maya may not enter the life of a devotee by wrong intention. Many times devotees have the right intentions. Devotees have the right intention to actually perform services. But what happens is that many times that how does that wrong intention enter? It enters through inattention. So Maya will enter the devotee through inattention, and through inattention, the other anarthas will start. So initially one may not have wrong intention, but how is that sometimes a devotee develops wrong intention to do something wrong? That wrong intention comes because of actually it starts from inattention. So when a person becomes inattentive, through that inattention, and gradually the other anarthas arise, and then through that a person develops wrong intention. So therefore this point is important, that all anarthas arise from inattention. And then there are three types of inattention classified by Haridas Thakur. Also in the Vishwanath Chakravarti in the Madhurya Kadambini, he talks about 5 types. He doesn't say 5 types of inattention, but he says that there are 5 obstacles to come to the stage of Nishtha. So I will discuss that first. 5 obstacles to come to Nishtha described by Vishwanath Chakravarti in the Madhurya Kadambini. And Shivaram Maharaj writes in his book, the same 5 obstacles are synthesized as 3 obstacles or 3 types of inattention by Haridas Thakur. So what are the 5 obstacles to come to Nishtha? So Vishwanath Chakravarti says the first obstacle is called as Laya. Laya means what? Laya means basically feeling sleepy. Feeling sleepy during the, say, while chanting, hearing or remembering. He says that Nishtha means Nishchalata. The stage of bhakti in which Nishtha or Nishchalata means the quality of being unwavering. When this quality of being unwavering, that quality comes, that stage is called as a Nishtha. So even when somebody desires to daily perform the different limbs of bhakti, such as Shravana and Kirtana, but if a person is still in the stage of being bound by the anartha, then he will be unable to irrepressible obstacles.
Can't hear.
One second. So,
Hare Krishna.
Hari bol raha hu.
Cannot hear properly. Voice is cracking.
Acha.
No, now I can hear Prabhu. No. But it had stopped.
Haribo. Okay, I hope you are able to hear. I'll continue.
Yes, can hear.
Yes, Prabhuji, please start from Nishchalta.
Yeah. Say Nishtha means the quality of being unwavering. So even when somebody desires to daily perform the limbs of bhakti, but if a person is still in the stage of being bound by anarthas, then he will be unable to make his performance of bhakti steady because of 5 almost because of the almost irrepressible obstacles. What are the 5 irrepressible?
Not
Hare
can't
Krishna,
hear
can you
Prabhu.
mute?
It's breaking.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
My
Someone
mobile
Hare
properly connected
Rama,
actually.
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
Can you
Hare.
unmute, Prabhu? Is it possible to? I request everyone to keep the mobile on mute actually. Haribo. Can everybody be muted? Haribo. So the first obstacle is called as Laya. Laya means drowsiness. So a person experiences drowsiness during hearing, chanting and remembering. During chanting, there may be less drowsiness. and during hearing there will be more drowsiness, and during remembering there will be even more drowsiness, because during chanting at least a person is writing something, but during hearing, one passively hearing, so therefore there will be more drowsiness, and even more drowsiness while remembering. Because sometimes during hearing somebody, the one who is speaking, sometimes he makes some sound in order to wake up the people, one may come out of the drowsiness. But while remembering, like only you are there, you are trying to remember certain, say, qualities of Krishna or something, only you are alone. So that time a person experiences increased drowsiness. So the first obstacle is called as laya. Laya means drowsiness or sleep. And the second obstacle is called as the vikshepa. Vikshepa means reminiscing about various topics related to the mundane life at the time of hearing, chanting, or remembering. So, like, see, for example, in the case of vikshepa, a person is not externally feeling sleepy. A person may be wide awake. Although one may be wide awake, a person thinks of other topics while hearing, chanting, and remembering. Like laya is that while chanting a person feels drowsy, but vikshepa is that a person is awake while chanting, but although he's awake while chanting, his mind is thinking of actually many other topics other than chanting. That is vikshepa. Vikshepa can be called as a distraction in a simple way. For example, the sadhaka may hold his japamala in his hand and continue chanting his fixed number of rounds, but at the same time engaging in gossiping with others about all kinds of mundane things. Then the sadhaka's restless or distracted mind, totally immersed in mundane topics, is unable to touch the holy name. So one is holding the japa bead, one is awake, but one is also like gossiping with others, or he's chanting, but his mind is focused on many other topics. So since the sadhaka's daily goal is merely the completion of his fixed rounds, he completes its rounds, but still he remains deprived of truly tasting the nectar of the holy name, because his mind is completely distracted. So although a sadhaka may sit in an assembly, although he may be sitting in a Bhagavad discourse, from beginning to end, he is actually sitting and listening with wide awake ears, but in his mind, he is thinking of other topics. Like the mind, many other topics are only coming. So due to this obstacle, the sadhaka's mind cannot remember the transcendental form and pastimes of the Lord. So this obstacle is called vikshepa or distraction. And the third obstacle is called as apratipatti. Apratipatti means, suppose even if the first two obstacles are absent, that means one is not feeling sleepy and one is not feeling distracted. But apratipatti means, but still a person may experience obstacle in the form of apratipatti. Apratipatti means a person feels a lack of enthusiasm to chant. Or apratipatti can be classified as disinterest or incompetence. So essentially in apratipatti, a person has a lack of enthusiasm. It appears within the sadhaka's mind. And because of this lack of enthusiasm, although he is not feeling sleepy or he is not distracted, but he lacks that enthusiasm to chant. Therefore, that creates lethargy in his bhajan. So that is why Rupa Goswami says that 6 things are favorable for bhakti. The first thing he says is that utsahat, enthusiasm, is one of the favorable things for bhakti. So this is the third obstacle. So we can see these obstacles are actually, we can say, on different levels. So then fourth is that somebody may overcome laya or vikshepa and apratipatti, but still one may encounter the fourth obstacle called as kashaya. Kashaya means one way of translating is that behavior unbecoming of a Vaishnava. Or another way is that in Kashaya, what happens is that he's chanting, he's awake, he's not distracted by some other subject matters. And okay, there is some enthusiasm also, but Kashaya is that during chanting, the past impressions of lust, greed, conceit, and other things, they keep coming in his mind. The previous impressions of anger, greed, conceit are present while during the practice of hearing, chanting, and remembering. That is called Kashaya. Devamrit Maharaj in one class, when he was explaining, sometimes we are chanting, but while chanting, there is a dialogue which is going on in our mind. Because we keep thinking, oh, this devotee is doing like this. I will go and tell this thing to this devotee. And if he replies like that, I will give this argument. And if he gives argument like this, then I will give this counter argument. In that way, there is an internal dialogue going on. And sometimes a person gets what is called as a revenge fantasy. Oh, this devotee said this to me. This devotee did this to me. I will do this thing in return. Or this person, it could be devotee or somebody else, I will retaliate in this way. So in that way, the feelings of revenge, how to actually counteract that person, or there are some plans of greed or lust. When those things come while chanting, hearing or remembering, then a person is actually experiencing the obstacle of Kashaya. So when a person is still bound by the anarthas, then on account of the previous impressions, the following will arise within one's heart. That means anger even at the slightest provocation, and a desire to relish sweet, tasteful preparations, greed for wealth, and false ego, and vanity in regard to one's body and possessions. So these are something related to Kashaya, behavior unbecoming of a Vaishnava, or the previous impressions of greed, lust, etc. they come. And then the fifth is called as a Rasaswada. Rasaswada means, okay, the past impressions of greed, lust, anger, they are not present. But Rasaswada is that a person has a taste for material enjoyment. The mind cannot experience material pleasure and simultaneously be absorbed in hearing, chanting, and remembering. So because of the mind's absorption in material enjoyment, it cannot be absorbed in bhajan. So a person still has an attraction for material enjoyment. Because of that, one is not able to absorb himself in hearing or chanting, etc. So this obstacle is called as Rasaswada. So it is by these symptoms that the sadhakas can ascertain for themselves whether or not they have entered Nishtha or not. If a sadhaka is going through these symptoms, that is drowsiness, or distraction, or lack of enthusiasm for hearing and chanting, or while chanting the past impressions of lust, greed, anger, when those things coming, at the same time taste for material enjoyment, when these actually symptoms are present, that means by that we can identify that, oh, we have not yet entered Nishtha. So these five things are mentioned by Vishwanath Chakravarti in the Madhurya Kadambini, and Haridas Thakur in the Harinam Chintamani, he maybe condenses these five into three. And he says that there are three types of inattention. Haridas Thakur says that if the inattention is present, one cannot attain Nishtha. And Vishwanath Chakravarti says that as long as these five obstacles, Laya, Vikshepa, Laya, Vikshepa, Apratipati, Kashaya, and Rasaswada. When these 5 things are present, one cannot attain Nishtha. And Haridas Thakur says that as long as inattention is present, one cannot attain Nishtha. And that inattention can be classified into 3 categories: indifference, inertia, and laziness. So, yeah, I'll discuss something on this: indifference, inertia, and laziness. Yeah, the first is the indifference. So indifference is called as the audasenya. So audasenya, this obstacle is nothing but like a mind is attracted to other things, other objects. The common man, however, is strongly attracted to the material things for his own pleasure. So even when he chants the holy name, his mind is attracted to other objects. Although he may chant japa daily, because he has a strong desire for material things, his mind will not relish the name. And this lack of taste for the name is called indifference. How can a person derive any benefit if one's mind goes in the opposite direction from the holy name? Like Prabhupada said once that the difference between Indians and the Westerners are that Indians are so close to Krishna, but they are looking in the opposite direction. Westerners are very far from Krishna, but at least they are looking in the direction of Krishna. So here in Audasenya, a person is one sense very close to the holy name, he is chanting the holy name, but his mind is actually has turned in the opposite direction from the holy name. So therefore, when this indifference is there, one may even chant 64 rounds, but without tasting one drop of nectar in that name. So this apathy towards the name is found in the heart of a person who has a strong attraction for material pleasure. So then Haridas Thakur talks about the remedy for indifference, remedy for audasenya. He says, one common thing we will find, and for all 3 obstacles, indifference, inertia, and restlessness of the mind, one common thing is that association of the devotees. So take the association of the devotees who chants properly, and in a secluded place, chant with that devotee, chant in his company for some time. And then when you observe that devotee's attraction for the holy name, then we will also be inspired to actually give up the indifference. So therefore, like association becomes crucial, that whenever there is an opportunity to chant in the association of advanced devotees, and whenever there is an opportunity to hear directly from the devotee or participate in the kirtan sung by the advanced devotees, one should not lose that opportunity, because when the advanced devotees, because they have a great taste and attraction for the holy name, and when we actually participate in that, we can feel actually the transforming effect, and we can feel ourselves transformed. Sometimes we might have observed in the, say, yatras or in different lectures, when the Vaishnavas like Radhanath Maharaj or other Vaishnavas, when they actually, more advanced Vaishnavas, when they speak, when they lead kirtan, it definitely has a great effect that, oh, let me also develop such kind of attraction. And then another recommendation Haridas Thakur says is that chant in the place where Krishna has performed pastimes. So of course, it's not that we can go to Holy Dham every month or something. That means like, yeah, whenever there is an opportunity, when we go to a holy place and chanting the holy dham, that has a tremendous effect. Or chanting in the temple, or in our home itself, chanting in front of the deity. Chanting in front of the deity. So in that way, chanting in a place where Krishna had performed pastimes, and chanting near Tulasi Devi. So Tulasi is considered to be such a great devotee of the Lord. Shri Rupini Kwanayati Charanaravindam Samlakshyate Sfatika Kudya Upekta Hemni. That in the Vaikuntha planet, although there are many fragrant plants which give forth many fragrant flowers, but all these flowers, they appreciate the tapasya, they appreciate the good fortune of Tulasi, because Tulasi is always situated at the lotus feet of Krishna, and all these plants, they appreciate the good fortune of Tulasi, and then they aspire to perform the tapasya performed by Tulasi in order to achieve the similar mercy attained by Tulasi. So Tulasi is a great, very dear devotee of Krishna. Therefore, keeping the Tulasi and then chant in the company of Tulasi is important. And a chant in the company of the Vaishnavas. Because chanting in the company of the Vaishnavas, that also helps, because, okay, it's not that we have the opportunity to associate very advanced devotees, but it's not that, but we may also see very sincere devotees amongst us also. So sometimes we may think, oh, advanced Vaishnavas means, okay, those who are sannyasis, Prabhupada disciples, we may think. No, there may be very many sincere devotees, advanced devotees even amongst us. There could be other grahasthas or other matajis or different people. So when we see other devotees, how they are trying to carefully chant, that also helps us to actually chant properly. Therefore, chanting in the company of the Vaishnavas also helps to overcome indifference. And the last thing he says is that chanting in seclusion. Go to a place or just close your door, bolt your door, switch off your mobile phone, and close your eyes. Close your eyes, and even like whatever may be, whatever can distract you, whichever object may distract you, distract the different senses, like just close all the, you just stop all those actually distractions, and then try to chant in seclusion. Because by that, like we can at least try to like absorb ourselves in the holy name, and that will help us to overcome indifference. Therefore, like it is important to have good practices, like maybe not keeping the mobile phone while chanting. These are all important, this thing. So these are some measures which Haridas Thakur recommends for overcoming indifference. So yeah, we'll go to the next. The second type of distraction, or the inattention. The three types of inattention. First is the audasinya, indifference. Second type of inattention is inertia or laziness. So this means chanting with a lazy attitude. For one round, okay, we chant, we take 20 minutes or 15 minutes, like that. Chanting with a lazy attitude. If one chants the name in this state, one's taste for the name will not develop. In this state of mind, even when one manages to chant the holy name, one always seeks respite or opportunities to interrupt the chanting. Means like one seeks some opportunity to interrupt the chanting. So this is called jadya or laziness. So what is the remedy for laziness? Again, he says that take the association of Vaishnavas who don't waste time. that take the association of Vaishnavas who are just completely, who keep themselves busy in some activities or others. And when you see such Vaishnavas who are diligent in their Krishna consciousness, one will be inspired to follow in their footsteps, and one will be inspired to give up the lethargic mentality. So if you see, there are two obstacles which Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, like laziness and false ego. Mayi sarvani karmani sanyas adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. Third chapter, 30th verse. In this verse, Krishna says that, like, offering all your works unto me, giving up the possessiveness and giving up the sense of me and mine, and give up lethargy and fight. Yudhyasva vigata jvara. In this verse, Krishna talks about giving up the false ego and giving up lethargy. Therefore, that laziness is one of the obstacles. One way to overcome laziness is that, like, take the association of Vaishnavas who don't waste time, who are diligent in Krishna consciousness. And by that, one will develop admiration for their quality of not wasting time. And when we see those Vaishnavas, by associating with them, one will start thinking, when will I be fortunate enough to chant and sing that holy name as these Vaishnavas do? And by this inspiration, enthusiasm will replace laziness, and the person will overcome the offense of inertia in chanting the holy name. And he will become determined to increase his number of rounds, from 16 rounds to more rounds, or 1 lakh names, like that. So by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, the mind will become extremely eager to chant, and the offense of inertia will soon be gone. So this is about laziness. And the third type of inattention is called as the restlessness, or the particular Sanskrit word is that vikshepa. Audasinya, Jadya, and Vikshepa. Because Vikshepa is also called as laziness, but it is actually restlessness of the mind. I think, no, in this slide, instead of laziness, it should be restlessness. The third type of inattention is called as a restlessness, or Vikshepa. So restlessness resides where there is, say, desire for women, wealth, attachment to material success and failure, desire for puja, labha, and pratishtha, and where there is a cheating propensity. So the restlessness stays where these desires are there. So that is why, if you see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction to Sanatana Goswami, he talks about the different types of weeds which may arise. He mentioned there are innumerable weeds, but there are 4 prominent weeds: Kutinati, Nishiddhachara, Jiva Himsana, diplomatic behavior, violence towards other living entities, or behavior which is not expected of a Vaishnava. So as soon as a person spots these weeds, one should immediately uproot these weeds. So what is the remedy for restlessness? One should follow proper Vaishnava behavior. Proper Vaishnava behavior, that means say applying tilak in the body, and these are the ornaments of a Vaishnava, and like offering obeisances to the Lord and the Vaishnavas. And when we go to the temple or the yatra, having say Vaishnava attire. So many Vaishnava behavior, following proper Vaishnava behavior is important. And then observing Ekadashi, because these days are actually very potent. So when Krishna appears, Krishna appears as the forest, he appears as the Naimisharanya. When Krishna appears as the book, he appears as the Srimad Bhagavatam. And when Krishna appears as the day, he appears as Ekadashi. So Ekadashi is considered to be the mother of Bhakti. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of the bhajan, he says that Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. He says that Madhavatiti Jatani Palani. So the Ekadashi is considered to be the mother of devotional service. So one should diligently observe Ekadashi. Actually, yeah, if we observe, if you read the actual rules of Ekadashi in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, like few weeks back, like there is one discussion, like we were discussing with on Madhva Vaishnava, we were discussing Rukmini Isha Vijaya. So he was asking that what do actually in ISKCON, what do you follow for Ekadashi? So actually that day was Ekadashi, and like in temple, like they had like Ekadashi dosa and different other feasts was there actually. I was little actually ashamed to say like what in ISKCON we follow, and then the discussion was going on. Other devotees told something, and then one devotee said actually in Hari Bhakti Vilas what it is mentioned for Ekadashi is that he said 2 meals in 3 days. That means 3 days are the day before Ekadashi is counted, and Ekadashi, and the day after Ekadashi, that is Dvadashi. In 3 days, one has 2 meals. Like of course, that's why Hari Bhakti Vilas has very high standard. And on the day of Ekadashi, one actually it mentioned that one chants whole day, whole night, etc. But of course, I'm not saying that I'm like very far away from this thing. But I'm just mentioning that sometimes it is like it is good to actually know what is there in the Shastra in order to actually understand where we stand, where we are there, in order to like understand our level, in order to that will help us to remain humble. It's not that sometimes yeah, Hari Bhakti Vilas Prabhupada said that once one devotee asked some questions about Hari Bhakti Vilas, Prabhupada actually said, don't read Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas written by Sanatana Goswami, but Prabhupada actually discouraged, because when a person like reads the different rules in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, one will find that like we are nowhere near that. Actually, that may create a complex. Therefore, Prabhupada discouraged. But still, sometimes it is important to know some of these standards that will help us to remain humble. So, but at least I would say that in Ekadashi, yeah, one should reduce one's eating, and one can increase one's direct spiritual activities. Yeah, one can make some individual this one, like how much I can increase, or one can, and then how much I can decrease certain material demands. So therefore, observing Ekadashi is important. And then in the association of the devotees, in the holy dham, listen to Krishna Katha. And by that, one will begin to experience not concealment, I think, contentment. Sorry, let me just check. Yeah, contentment. I'm sorry, it's wrongly typed. Yeah, when we hear the Krishna Katha in the holy dham, from the devotees, one will begin to experience contentment, joy, and confidence. And also, whenever there is an opportunity, hear the songs about Krishna from the mouths of the devotees. So Haridas Thakur says that one should put great effort into curbing restlessness or fickleness of the mind, because by attaining a steady mind, one can begin to relish the nectar of the holy name within no time. So therefore, these are the three types of actually inattention. The first type of inattention is the indifference, audacenia. Second is the inertia or laziness, or jadya. And third is called as the vikshepa or restlessness of the mind. And we discussed the three types of remedy for these three types of inattention. So I'll discuss, let me see some more points from the Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, the book written by Shivaram Maharaj, what he has mentioned in regard to these points. So he says that, so first is apathy, apathy or indifference. Indifference or a lack of enthusiasm in chanting. And second is laziness, refers to not caring to pronounce the Lord's names properly. Refers to allow senses and mind to wander to sense objects. And all of these, especially distraction, which is extremely difficult to overcome, result in a loss of interest in chanting and other devotional practices. So when devotees lose interest in receiving Bhakti Devi's shelter, that means when we don't put effort to overcome these, actually these three types of inattention, that is jadya, vikshepa and audacenia, then one will lose the one will lose the shelter of Bhakti Devi. And when a Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
गुगू बैठी है गुगू बैठी है नहीं बोलो भाई हाँ यार पता है किचन में कम ऑफ करे थे परेशान किराना कोकोनट मिलता है क्या सब्जी यार कोकोनट लाना चाहिए था ना कोकोनट लाइन लगाना मुझे अच्छा अच्छा बना तो लेंगे मोबाइल नहीं लिए थे आप पकड़ा पकड़ा क्या लग रहा बाहर का माहौल क्या है बाहर का माहौल क्या है अभी थोड़ा सा बेटर नहीं हुआ
Hare Krishna. I don't know, like, I was trying to call actually Harivara Prabhu since so many times. The host has the option to actually mute everyone. I don't know why suddenly it was unmuted or nobody was muting. Anyway, I'll continue here. I hope you are able to hear. So we'll quickly complete this topic. So we discussed the three types of inattention and the remedy for the three types of inattention. So there is a verse in the, so I'll just mention some points from Shivaram Maharaj's book, Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani. So he says that apathy refers to the indifference or a lack of enthusiasm in chanting. Laziness refers to dozing or not caring to pronounce the Lord's names properly. And distraction refers to allowing the senses and mind to wander to sense objects. And when the devotees lose interest in receiving Bhakti Devi's shelter, they are beset by an intense hankering for wealth and other anarthas. So therefore, it becomes important to actually deal with this anartha. Huh. So then how can devotees stop chanting inattentively? So Shivaram Maharaj mentions that every individual and collective problem in our society has stemmed from this root anartha called as inattentive chanting. So the first step is to actually to desire a solution. That means, like, sometimes we are aware that we are chanting inattentively, but we don't even desire to chant attentively. So the first step is to desire a solution. So once the devotees realize that they need to improve, they should chant daily in the association of advanced devotees who have attraction for the name, and they should study the behavior of offenseless chanters and emulate their mood and inquire from them how to overcome inattentiveness. The example and guidance of advanced devotees will certainly inspire neophytes to cast off the shackles of apathy, laziness, and distraction. So the same point about association of advanced devotees is mentioned. And of course, we should beg for the mercy of the holy name. Another important thing which Haridas Thakur says is that one should actually offer prayers to the holy name. And of course, I already mentioned about chanting here, Tulasi Devi, etc. And yeah, these are yeah, there is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse comes in the 4th canto, 24th chapter, 59th verse. This particular verse actually describes Lord Shiva is speaking this in the Rudra Gita. This verse describes actually the state of the person who has overcome these three types of inattention. Nayasya chittam bahir artha vibramam tamo guhayam cha vishuddham avishat yad bhakti yoganu grihita manjasa munir vichashte nanu tatra te gatim. The devotee whose heart is pure and not agitated by external objects and not subject to falling asleep during worship, having been blessed by Bhakti Devi herself, certainly sees the Lord's pastimes and beauty with ease. So, Nayasya Chittam Bahirartha Vibramam, when the devotee is not agitated by external sense objects. So, it's not agitated by external objects at the time of remembering and hearing about the Lord. And the heart does not enter the hole for sleeping. One is not distracted by sleepiness. And at the time of hearing and remembering the Lord, the heart does not become subject to the disturbance of drowsiness. The reason is that it has been blessed with bhakti and thus becomes pure. The causes of sleep and agitation are the offenses to the name, which are offenses to bhakti. So when these things disappear, Bhakti Devi is pleased. And when she is pleased, she gives mercy. So this means that there will be no agitation or sleep while performing bhakti. And when the heart is pure, then a person can see the Lord's pastimes and one can see the Lord's beauty. So therefore, in this particular verse is important where he explains the stage where a person has overcome these three obstacles of inattention. And when a person has overcome these three obstacles of inattention, a person is blessed by Bhakti Devi, and then Munir Vicheshte Nanu Tatra Tegatim, a person can see the Lord's pastimes and beauty very easily. Anjasa. So lastly, so we discussed about the three types of inattention. Lastly, Haridas Thakur talks about the opposite of inattention, that is the eagerness for the name. So one should be constantly on guard against negligence in completing one's prescribed rounds of japa. Means like whatever number of rounds which a person has For say initiated devotee, there are 16 rounds, and okay, those who are aspiring for initiation, those who are taken a commitment of chanting 16 rounds, or okay, somebody is chanting 8 rounds or 4 rounds, whatever number of rounds a person has taken a commitment, one should be on guard that he should not actually, he becomes very responsible in completing those rounds. So sometimes people keep, oh, I have 180 rounds pending or 200 rounds pending. So the first thing is that like one should be on guard in completing the prescribed number of rounds. And second point is that even if a person completes the number of rounds, one should do it carefully. Sometimes devotees are interested in completing the rounds quickly, but in the course of that, like they compromise the quality of chanting, like somehow getting things done. So one may complete the rounds, but then one should actually chant with quality, like because the amount of time which requires to chant attentively and also inattentively, the time remains the same only. Whether a person chants attentively or inattentively, the time remains the same. Therefore, one should be careful to see that not only the rounds are chanted, but they are chanted properly. And then one should give up the desire to increase the number of rounds just for making a show at the sacrifice of quality. This also should be given up. Sometimes a person, just to say that, oh, I'm chanting so many number of rounds, just to impress other people, when a person increases the number of rounds, so that kind of cheating propensity should be given up. And another point is that Nama Sankirtan, whether it is a japa or Nama Sankirtan, one should be attentive. So Nam Sankirtan, participating in Sankirtan also helps. Like another point, maybe I mentioned previously also, like when we talk about taste for chanting, like Mahaprabhu has given 3 principles: Name Ruchi, Jive Daya, and Vaishnava Seva. So all these 3 are actually interconnected. So to the extent we do Vaishnava Seva, it will help in our chanting. And when we chant properly, we also get an opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas. Because if you are getting opportunity to serve, that means you are chanting properly. And if you serve properly, your chanting will improve. And Jive Daya also. When we try to give the holy name to others, by that we are trying to serve the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire. And because we are trying to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire, by assisting in his preaching mission, by trying to speak about the holy name, and by that actually we will get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu we will gain the taste. We'll get the taste for chanting the holy name. So therefore, all these 3 are actually interconnected, and one should balance that. A person, one should try to actually take part in all these 3 activities: Jive Daya, Name Ruchi, and Vaishnava Seva. Not only in one's bhajan, but also trying to give it to others, share with others. If you read Parishit Maharaj's prayers in the first canto, 19th chapter, when Parishit Maharaj was returning back to his kingdom after putting the dead snake on Samika Rishi, when he was returning, he was thinking that like he felt repentant, and then let me get the result of my disrespect to Samika Rishi. Let me get that reaction immediately. And then later, when all this, when he got the news that he has been cursed to die in 7 days, he renounces everything, and then he goes to the banks of the Ganges, and all the sages assemble over there. And then there he speaks a beautiful prayer. He says that if I have to take birth again in this material world, let me never disrespect other Vaishnavas, or let me have a friendship with other Vaishnavas, and let me be kind towards other living entities. and let me be able to actually hear your pastimes, something like that he says. That means Parishit Maharaj actually aspires for Jivedaya, Vaishnava Seva and Namaruchi. So because all these three, sometimes we only focus on Namaruchi and we neglect the Vaishnava Seva and Jivedaya. But actually Vaishnava Seva and Jivedaya will help us to improve our chanting, will help us to actually increase our taste for chanting. So therefore, that also should be kept in mind. And then finally, Haridas Thakur says that it is impossible to overcome the inattention without the mercy of the Lord. So therefore, one should offer prayer to the Lord for his mercy. In great anxiety, the devotee prays, I beg for your mercy, O Lord. Being full of compassion, show your mercy. If I do not make endeavor to attain your mercy, I am very unfortunate. O son of Sachi, for the mercy of the Lord is the root of success in devotional service. And material motivation and individual intelligence can never yield the results. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Bhagavata, one should chant the mantra at all times, or one should chant more, and that is the there is no other rule to increase the chanting. This is another point Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So with this, we come to the end of this particular offense. So I don't know, today there was a lot of disturbance while the class. I couldn't do much anything. But so to summarize, what we discussed was that we discussed about the offense of inattentive chanting, and this offense is the root of all the offenses. Even if a person overcomes all the other offenses, and even if a person chants continuously, but still one may not develop love for Krishna if a person continues to chant inattentively. So this shows the gravity of the offense. And then we discussed there are without inattention, a person cannot come to the stage of Nishtha. And without coming to the stage of Nishtha, one cannot come to the stage of Prema. And then we discussed 5 obstacles for coming to the stage of Nishtha mentioned by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur in the Madhurya Kadambini. We discussed 5 obstacles as Laya, dozziness, Vikshepa, distraction, Apratipatti, lack of enthusiasm, Kashaya, that means feelings of revenge and anger during chanting, and then Rasasvada, desire for taste for material enjoyment. And Haridas Thakur mentions that there are 3 types of inattention. He says inattention is an obstacle for coming to the stage of Nishtha. There are 3 types of inattention: Audasinya, indifference; Jadya, inertia or laziness; and Vikshepa. Vikshepa means restlessness of the mind. So we discussed these 3 types of inattention and what are the remedial measures given by Haridas Thakur to overcome these 3 types of inattention. One of the common remedial measures is that associate with the advanced devotees, chant in their association, chant in the holy dham, chant in the temple of the Lord, chant in the association of Tulasi Devi. And then we discussed that how one should chant in seclusion, and one should be inspired to see the Vaishnavas who don't waste time and be inspired to follow in their footsteps. And then we discussed that one should follow the proper Vaishnava behavior, and one should observe the Ekadashi and the appearance days of the Lord very diligently, because these days are very potent and they will give you great benefit. And finally, we discussed the opposite of inattention, that is eagerness for holiness. And some points were mentioned by Haridas Thakur that one should diligently complete one's prescribed number of rounds, but one should not simply complete for the sake of completing, but one should chant attentively, or one should chant with proper quality. It takes the same time to complete attentive chanting as well as inattentive chanting. and one should chant with proper pronunciation. These are some points which we discussed today. So if anybody has any comments or questions, we'll take up now. Haribo. I think the host is Harivaraha Prabhu or Mataji. I don't know whether they are present. They have to unmute you. Usually they make me as the host during the question answer. I don't know whether they are present. I don't know. I think the hostess, I think, switched on and then he left somewhere or something. I tried to call him many times, but usually Prabhuji makes me as the host at the end of the question answer, the end of the session. So I think Prabhuji, you can. Haribo. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have two questions. Generally, I ask only basic questions, I don't know. One is that sometimes we are having very enthusiastically, we chant and the days are very fine. We get an excellent blissful taste also. And sometimes it is the totally of inattentive chanting with the various fluctuations in the mind. Why it is happening, number one. And it belongs to which category of this inattentive chanting, number one. Second is that what is the specific time for a completing of 16 rounds non-stop? That is generally somebody take 2 hours, somebody take 1 hour 40 minutes, somebody take 2 hours 40 minutes. That is 160 minutes, 10 minutes for one round. So what is the standard? Is there any standard time?
Like that, there is no, I've not heard any standard time like that emphasized. Say somebody's capacity to chant is say 10 minutes for chanting one round. Like I take 10 minutes for chanting one round. So it takes for me 2 hours 40 minutes definitely. But I see the other devotees who chant maybe in 2 hours or 1.5 hours. Some devotees chant less than 1.5 hours also. But they are able to chant that they chant other this one. There is nothing like they can chant many mantras at one breath. But some people chant take more time. For me, it takes 2 hours 40 minutes. So yeah, basically one should chant attentively and paying proper attention. So time may vary from person to person. Of course, it shouldn't be too much more. If it is taking very lot of time, then that means one may be distracted. And sometimes if a person is chanting very fast, maybe one may be swallowing some mantras. So one has to be careful. That is one thing. Another is that like some days we feel enthusiastic, some days we feel like chanting. So that is one of the stage of anishtita bhajana kriya. So nishta is the stage of actually steadiness, but in the stage of unsteady bhakti, like some different days, like our chanting is good, sometimes it's not good. So that's the stage of unsteady bhakti, but one of the important thing to overcome the stages, like we have to keep on following it. We have to like the different days. Sometimes that's like when Krishna talks about controlling the mind. Abhyasa yogena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. One should practice abhyasa and vairagya, practice and renunciation. That means like one should be detached from, like suppose today or yesterday our chanting was bad, then be detached from that particular thought. Let us take today fresh, let us take this particular round and let us take this mantra like fresh. Just like in a cricket match, that one has to take one ball, one shouldn't actually worry about the previous balls, how he did not score runs, or one shouldn't be too much fearful of the future, whether he will be able to win. One has to take one ball at a step, at a step. Similarly, one has to be detached from the fact that, okay, yesterday we didn't chant properly, or the previous round I was just thinking of many other things. Let us concentrate on the present Mahamantra properly. So sometimes what happens, like we keep chanting, after 10 rounds we realize that, oh, I didn't actually hardly remembered I hardly actually concentrated on any holy name. And then lamenting about that, the remaining 6 rounds also go away. So we have to be detached from that. Okay, what we have not done previously, let us concentrate on this holy name. So when we chant one holy name attentively, it will help you to chant the next holy name attentively. And when you do that, then it will help you to chant the next holy name attentively. So therefore, in that way, yeah, these are all questions, sincere questions, which arise from because you are all sincerely practicing bhakti. But these are some points which I want to share. So I think we will end the class here, and tomorrow we'll continue the 13th chapter. Hare Krishna. Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.